Text.
Ever since John McCain and Sarah Palin came in second in the presidential election in 2008, watching the Republican Party figure out what they want to do next, who they want to be their post-Bush, post-McCain leaders, what they want their party to stand for, it's been the greatest show on earth. But now that all of the major primaries are over, now that the sheer slate of Republican candidates has taken shape, the post-Bush, post-McCain Republican position on the issues is measurable. It's not a theoretical fight anymore. It's not debate club. Republican voters have gone to the polls. They've selected their candidates. And by looking at the positions those candidates endorse, we can now measure what post-Bush, post-McCain Republicans stand for. Generally speaking, what they stand for is getting rid of Social Security. Or if we shouldn't eliminate it altogether, then we should at least privatize it and give it over to Wall Street.
Guess what's coming in Russ Feingold's negative campaign? He's going to tell you I said Washington treats Social Security like a Ponzi scheme. You know what? I did say that, because it's true.
I don't know whether it's constitutional or not. It is certainly a horrible policy.
We need to phase Medicare and Social Security out in favor of something privatized. We know that the government never gives
So don't fix it. You're saying don't do anything.
I'm saying it can't be fixed. It's broken.
It's a Ponzi scheme. They're taxing us to pay for the current generation.
The idea that the federal government should be running health care or retirement or any of those programs is fundamentally against what I believe.
We have to look at all the options that are out there, including privatization.
And put them into personal retirement accounts immediately.
What we need to do is personalize Social Security and Medicare.
If there was a hint of hesitation there at the end, a bit of a hedge, did I say privatized? Maybe I mean personalized. That sounds better, right? Any hesitation, like what you heard from Sharon Angle and her rebranding effort there, is now going away. That's in part due to the influential, pocketed conservative group, the Club for Growth. That's the get government down to the size where we can drown it in the bathtub group. That's the group once led by Pat Toomey, who's now the Republican nominee for Senate in Pennsylvania. The Club for Growth is now pushing for the privatization of Social Security, and they're pushing for Republicans to be proud to run on that. In a new post on its website titled "Privatize Social Security? Hell Yeah." That's the name of their pro-privatized Social Security article. Hell yeah. Woo, yeah. We're not the social conservatives. We're the money guys. We swear. We say H-E double hockey sticks. You may remember that after he won re-election in 2004, President George W. Bush toured the country pushing his plan to privatize Social Security. Remember, he said he had accumulated political capital and now he wanted to spend it.
I earned capital in the campaign, political capital, and now I intend to spend it. It is my style. That's what happened in after the 2000 election. I earned some capital. I've earned capital in this election, and I'm going to spend it for what I told the people I'd spend it on, which is, you've heard the agenda, Social Security.
Social Security. The president did do a national road show about privatizing Social Security in 2005. He told the American people how excited he was for the elderly to divert their Social Security checks to Wall Street. And while President Bush was manifestly excited about that idea, the American people were not. The roadshow was a failure. The accumulated political capital dispersed. The American people were not moved, and boy, did that turn out to be handy. Because take a look at this. This is the S&P 500 index over the last 5 years. From about the time that President Bush was proposing, we start putting people's Social Security checks in the stock market. If you retired under a privatized system like the one George W. Bush was pushing in 2005, you would just have to hope to not need that retirement money in a year that looks, say, like 2009. But there's another element to Social Security that even Republicans who say they're in favor of it don't like to talk about very much. And that's overhead, the cost of administering it. Right now, as it is, with the government in charge, Social Security is cheap to administer. As our friend Ezra Klein pointed out in a recent column for Newsweek, administrative costs for Social Security are less than 0.9% of total spending. In other words, it costs relatively nothing, sort of, to run Social Security. Less than 1% of the total cost of the program is spent running it. It is super efficient. And it's a government program. I know your head's exploding. How is this possible? Same way it's possible for Medicare. Some big government programs like Medicare and Social Security have like Zippo for overhead. They are very efficient. But if you privatize Social Security, you instead start paying private for-profit Wall Street financial firms to manage Social Security money. And they're probably not going to operate like the super efficient government programs they would be replacing because, after all, they are private, they are for-profit, and they are in it to make money. In fact, back when President Bush was pushing for privatization in 2005, his own Social Security Commission estimated that under their system of individual accounts, 5 cents of every dollar would go to pay administrative costs. 5%. For those of you keeping track at home, that's more than 5 times more expensive than it is now. So yeah, the government now doesn't gamble with old people's Social Security checks on Wall Street, and it can administer this program for almost nothing. But Republicans think it would be a better idea to go ahead and pay Wall Street 5 times as much to do with Social Security checks whatever it is that Wall Street does with money, which, as we know, sometimes involves losing it, a lot of it, quickly. And remember, this is not people's investment portfolios. This is not PIN money. This is a safety net. In many cases, for millions of Americans, this is the safety net. If you are retired and Social Security benefits account for the majority of your income, which is true for the majority of all retired Social Security recipients, if you are one of the 13 million retired Americans who would live below the poverty line without Social Security, when you lose the value of your safety net portfolio to a downturn in the stock market, or when you watch it get eaten up over time by Wall Street fees, that's it. That was the safety net. There isn't one anymore. Suddenly you're 85 years old living in cardboard and eating cat food. But hey, don't worry, most of these same candidates who we just mentioned, the ones who want to get rid of Social Security or privatize it or personalize it, they're also talking about phasing out Medicare, which is our health insurance program run by the government for older people. So you will be 85 years old living in cardboard, eating cat food, and trying to buy health insurance on the private market. And if there's any one group of people who can reliably find affordable health care on the private market, it's definitely people who are Social Security age. So far this campaign season, people have been paying a lot of attention to tax cuts and to the individual wackiness factor of a lot of this year's crop of candidates. But right now, these issues, Social Security and Medicare, are at the heart of Republican policy proposals. At the center of the Republican platform is the idea that maybe there shouldn't be a safety net for retired people in this country. That is what Republicans are fighting for this year. If you take away all the characters, all the gas, all the scandals, this is what they're proposing. Democrats have been running away from the New Deal for so long, they are sometimes afraid to say it, but the New Deal brought us Social Security, and Social Security has been really good for America, and Republicans want to ash can it. Some Democrats may be too scared of their own shadows to say it, but it is worth saying. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.